Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. And we have got one that I'm very excited for here today, as it's a bot that it's been a long time since I've cast. It is going to be Phobos, the Terran bot, the now completing the triad of Team Eris's bots. We have Eris, Deimos, and Phobos. You may notice a trend in those. And yes, Phobos, I think, was off the ladder for a bit, and it was the least successful of the team's bots. But it is still very exciting to watch, just because it plays at quite a high level. Phobos was a little more linear as far as how it played, going for tank-based timing attacks for the most part, which is a very reasonable way to program a bot, or just a Terran bot, as, I mean, tank timings are strong, man. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to see how Phobos does against the bread and butter VeTerran, the Terran bot that's kind of just a staple in the scene, doesn't really get updated anymore, but plays at quite a high level. So yes, this should be a good test for Phobos, which, according to its description, is currently undergoing refactoring. Alright, so if we take a look at the builds from these two bots, we've got Reapers on the way for Phobos. Well, a Reaper. Same for VeTerran, just a single Reaper, but then goes into a second one upon completion of the second rack, so a bit more of an aggressive opening from the Red Terran bot, because it's not something that we see too often, as, yeah, like VeTerran is, it's a good Terran bot, but it doesn't really compete as well as it used to, maybe versus bots like Benbot and Ketrock. So personally, I think it's a breath of fresh air to see Reapers in one of these matchups, because it's just been a while since I feel like I've seen maybe just a TVT in general that opened so aggressively. And yes, this is very cool to see. We'll see how Phobos defends its natural against this first Reaper coming in for VeTerran. There is two Reapers out for Phobos, with a Reaper and a Hellion on the way behind this. It will need to come back and save that SCV. It actually does. Second Reaper of VeTerran rolls on up, but VeTerran will need to get out of there, tosses down a grenade, sends the Reapers of Phobos flying. Phobos, though, will take early game map control, as there is two Reapers and a Hellion now out, with another Reaper and another Hellion on the way out behind this. This is actually a way I love to play TVT, and we currently have the Reapers crossing each other. So this is a good example of how bots don't really think. VeTerran is just trying to get those Reapers across the map. It retreats from threats, but if it can get units across the map without running into a threat, it will certainly do that, as we see it just sending out more and more of these Reapers. Currently, just one has died. A tank is on the way behind this for VeTerran, which is quite important, as it will need something with a bit more muscle to defend against the Reapers and Hellions of Phobos. Grenades keep getting thrown on down. Hellions catching a few of those, as we have some very early game shenanigans going on, distracting me a little bit. I don't even think I got to do my intro. Sometimes I forget if I did or didn't. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, if we can get a like on this video for, I don't know, the temperature of the Hellion's flame. And then, yeah, leave a comment down below if you haven't already, saying more bots, more Deimos, or pardon me, more Phobos, more VeTerran, or more Deimos too. And yeah, subscribe if you haven't already, as we put out daily bot videos. I might cast a few more Phobos games, depending on how this one goes overall. Looks like VeTerran is doing a pretty good job shutting down this light Hellion harass. So far, it's 2 dead Marines, a dead Reaper, and an SCV for 2 Hellions and a Reaper, so it's kind of just a wash, the opening. Although Phobos does actually get some Reapers down to the main base of VeTerran. SCVs are immediately pulled to try and chase these Reapers, but they are Reapers, so they're slick. VeTerran throws down a grenade, not really taking into account the placement of its own SCVs and units, so it does kind of hit a few of those. Those 2 Reapers do go down, though, so that is nice that VeTerran was able to clean that up. The Red Terran is a little bit behind, though, as it did go for the later expansion. It lost 2 SCVs. And now Phobos is just powering. Vikings racks on the way, so we are potentially going to be seeing one of those siege tank pushes. Defensive tank for Phobos does a good job defending against the Reapers of VeTerran, which are now going home to heal on up as it keeps getting chased away by those Marines. And so yes, a nice opening for Phobos. That's for sure. I am excited at the prospect of this game potentially going later between these two bots, because VeTerran is a bot that does like to build Thors, and I don't think we see nearly enough Thor bots. So maybe if I program a Terran bot, I'll have to try and program it to go for like a Thor rush or something like that. Although that's a very high risk. It's a very, very high risk build because you don't really have any units as you go for a Thor rush anyway. I used to do that on the ladder, go for the quick Thor, Medivac, just drop it in your opponent's base and pull some SCVs and hope for the best. Worked when I was in Platinum League. Alright, so VeTerran getting up some defensive turrets that may or may not be useful, but that's a very good programming choice by the bot author, as it is fairly catch-all against harassment. Great grenades, getting some HP damage done on those Marines, although I believe there is a Medivac out for Phobos, which should be able to heal those up. The Reapers for VeTerran. I mean, really good programming from VeTerran that they're respecting that cliff, despite they're not just like running back up that cliff after losing sight of the danger, which is, yeah, really good to see. And now we do have Phobos moving out for quite a large attack. We're going to see if VeTerran can defend against this. The Viking count is definitely in the lead for Phobos, so that's quite concerning. The Reapers may actually see this moving on out, though. So how VeTerran's going to handle this, I'm not sure. Meanwhile, Phobos is getting greedy with a third and a fourth base on location behind this push. So VeTerran just needs to hold on, and then maybe it can punish Phobos a little bit, but it's quite difficult to defend one of these tank all-ins, particularly when the first Cyclone runs out and dies. Marauders running down the ramp are keeping the tank sieged up from pushing on in, but yes, VeTerran is in quite a perilous position right now, as Phobos has got a great economy behind this. But there we go. A Thor is on the way for the Red Terran, so I'm excited for that. It can zone out the Vikings potentially. Reapers, unfortunately, path right on by those tanks, which is unfortunate. Now, Ravens are in the sky. They can potentially throw down auto turrets, but they've got to stay back. The turrets may actually be helping by keeping these Vikings back. A scan goes down for VeTerran. Very cool usage to get vision on units in these important tank versus tank battles, although Marines are still running forward. Hopefully the Thor doesn't just run forward. Medivac almost gets targeted down by the Vikings. Does not get repaired in time, so that does perish. And this is something that, on paper, you think is probably not too difficult to program. Like, tanks have a range, stay out of the range of those tanks. Vikings provide more vision, inch forward, that kind of thing. But it's definitely not that simple, as the tank for VeTerran, or the Thor, pardon me, for VeTerran does go down the ramp. Vision is very important right now, as VeTerran does actually have vision on that tank and kills it off. So Phobos trying to inch forward, does get rebuffed for now. The blue Terran behind this, though, has got an incredible economy with that fourth base done. VeTerran, meanwhile, is still just chilling on 2 bases, so it's in a much more difficult position. That Thor keeps eating tank shots, really needs some repair. The Medivac then picks it up, drops it off 2 feet. That is the programming for VeTerran to save the tanks. That other tank is almost dead. I'm not sure about the range. I think it might have just been splash damage, or maybe the Thor almost got it. We also have a fusion core now on the way for VeTerran, although I'm not sure BCs are the play when your opponent has got 8 Vikings out. This Thor does move forward, shooting at some Medivacs, gets saved by its friendly Medivac, and that is actually quite nice, keeping that Thor alive. Unfortunately, yes, the Viking presence does zone that out. VeTerran going down the ramp with a few of its units will need to save that Thor again. No, the Thor dies. That is tragic. The hero in this game has perished, as Phobos is just laying on the pressure on VeTerran. The couple of tanks are holding the line for now, but I think it's only a matter of time until Phobos gets up this ramp, as VeTerran has just bled off so many units here. Although resources lost overall, it's not massive, 4,600 to 2,100. Still a definite lead for Phobos, and it's 72 supply against 183, so a bit of a rough showing here for VeTerran. We may have to watch Phobos against some of the better Terran bots, maybe like Ketrock or Benbot, that kind of thing. I think that could be a very fun match to see in the future. Another Thor is building. It's just Abyssal Reef is quite a good map for defensive bots because programming your bot to go up this ramp is difficult. I mean, VeTerran only knows what it can see, and so it doesn't. It's like occasionally sees this tank back there. Maybe the blue Terran bot really does just need to commit on in, and then it should be fine. There may have been a drop going off in the main. I think I missed that with my observing, so apologies there. Another Thor is out. Let's see if it can potentially make a difference. Now it's got +1 armor with +1 attack. Close to finishing. Medivac does save it for a moment. Just the tank fire for Phobos is really no joke. The blue Terran bot is expanding all over the place with a great economy. And yeah, VeTerran just never able to get up an expansion. Unfortunately, the second Thor dies. And so this one was a little bit of an underwhelming match. So I think I'll probably throw a micro battle onto the end of this one. If you guys want to see more of those, let me know in the comments down below. I think it really is just a matter of time until Phobos eventually wins out. I mean, in the long run, VeTerran will mine out unless it takes another base. We are seeing an attempt at a drop from Phobos, which is cool because it's not something we see from every Terran bot. Drops are very underutilized compared to human games, as they are something that's quite difficult to program, I imagine. Another Thor is on the way for VeTerran. Reinforcements are popping out for the red Terran, but the current command center count is 2 to 6, with 2 more on the way for Phobos. Looks like Phobos is finally pushing up this ramp, eating so many tank shots as it goes about this. The bunker is scaring it a little bit. This tank is getting so many kills. But now I think Phobos is breaching this. The bunker is gone. SCVs are being pulled into the main base. The Thor may try and clean this up. It may have a bit more success until all these tanks inch forward. And inch forward they are. So yeah, Thor doing alright, killing off the Marauders. The command center lifts off, but then has to re-land, but then immediately lifts off, perhaps because of the threat. Another tank rolls down for VeTerran. It may get sieged up to do some work, however, the CC is getting broken in. This has just been a slow and painful death for the red Terran. And Phobos looks quite alright, so I definitely will cast more Phobos games in the future. Phobos even bringing SCVs to heal up its Medivacs and Vikings. Something that isn't too surprising with a bot that does like to go for these tank pushes. The blue Terran also adding on more and more production, up to 16 racks despite being maxed out. I mean, hey, you got to spend your money on something. Just expanding all over the place. And it will eventually win this game, but this is a very, very slow death. GG. And here we are. We've got Oops taking on Sharkles in a TVP. 2 Stalkers against three Stalkers against so many Marines for this one. As this is going to be quite the challenge for the Stalkers, I think. Oh, pardon me. There's actually 4 Stalkers. Apparently I need to zoom out more. And with those new numbers in mind, you think it would be better for the Stalkers, but still, it's quite a few Marines left on the board. These Marines are just running for some reason, being cowards. Meanwhile, the Giga Chad Marine is trying to 1v1 a Stalker, and we got 2 Marines against 1 Stalker. Sharkles just needs to kite properly. However, the pathing does send it to the bottom right. It's so close, but the Stalker does end up perishing there, so round 1 goes to Oops, just barely. As things are now switched up once again. Yeah, I didn't see all 4 Stalkers because I really had to zoom out there. And once again, we are seeing that as, let's see, Marines are getting on top of the Stalkers once again, even seemingly better than the previous match. There is 2 Stalkers left alive, but I think that there is a bit of a mistake in the programming. It's a fine line to walk when you do program your bot, because Stalkers do outrange Marines, so in theory they should be able to kite forever, but there's so many So many factors, that kind of thing. And let's see now, Stalkers against Marauders. The Stalkers actually kind of want to move forward because the Marauders have concussive shell to kite. Injured Stalkers need to go in the back as well as they can. The Marauders are just hugging in a corner. They really can volley down these Marauders at this point, but no, way too many Stalkers there. So good aggression by Sharkles. And yeah, we can pull up that chat. I don't think it's too intrusive. Stalkers are moving in once again, but they do seem to be having a bit of a tough time. Apologies for having my ringer on. I'm awaiting a call. Okay, and we have got Zealots and Adepts, this time taking on just even more Marines. Hey, if it's a Terran micro challenge, why not? As the Marines are now doing a beautiful job fanning out, and yeah, I'm not sure how the Protoss should be able to win this one, but these Marines are being very, very silly and are definitely not kiting back enough. So things are actually way, way closer than I thought they'd be. Only 4 Marines left, 1 injured Zealot. The Marines do still win that, I think. It's actually so close now. These Marines, literally all you guys need to do is walk, shoot, walk, shoot, walk, shoot. He just barely wins that. Way closer than it should be. It is not easy to program an AI that is, or a bot that is versatile enough to handle all these situations. Though, like, there's so many factors. Concave for Oops, as it does target down these Adepts moving forward, but yes, the Terran bot does seem to maybe not be walking back as much as it could in a situation like this. Like, fanning out, I think, on the Marines would definitely be better. However, this time it does win more handily. So, a bit of an evenly matched, well, not so evenly. Sharkles is actually having a bit of a tough time here. Oops is gonna be going up against Zealots and Stalkers again. The Stalkers really need to be firing 100% of the time, although I think they are missing some fire as they're kind of sitting back. Now we've got 6 Hellions against 3 Stalkers. This is actually interesting. As far as the math goes, I'm not too sure. I think the Stalkers should win it because they're simply so much stronger. And now it's 2 Stalkers against 3 Hellions. So yeah, I think the Stalkers will definitely win this one. These matches are based on 10 rounds, so at this point Sharkles is playing for a draw because it's already in the upper right. You can barely see it thanks to the overlay, but it's presently 5-2 in favor of Oops. So Oops needs to win one more game. Sharkles needs to win them all to play for a draw in this match. Hellions and Marines moving forward once again. The Hellions deal extra damage to the Zealots. The Zealots that are doing good work on the Marines, and now it's 3 Stalkers against just the Hellions again. The Zealot kind of dies so quickly there. That's why I didn't mention it. Hellions really going forward. You can see how this micro of Oops would be pretty effective driving into a drone line. But in this case, it does seem, yeah, 2 Hellions against 2 Stalkers. That is not a winning fight for the Hellions. Will it at least get this one Stalker? No, it won't. Okay, let's see. We got Marines and Marauders now against Stalkers and Zealots. Are these charge lots? Yes, they are. The Stalkers also have Blink, so that is quite important in this situation. As the Zealots charge forward, the Bio is kiting back, but maybe not enough, although it does seem to be going quite all right. The Bio is injured from that stim, of course. Marauders moving forward, getting on top of some of the Stalkers, but the injured ones blink very far back, and so things look quite all right for Sharkles. And now we've just got one more round. This one is for all the marbles here. As Marauders are in the front, Marines are in the back. That does mean Zealots are going to charge forward. The Bio does start falling back. This looks a little better for Oops, I think, as the Zealots do go down, and there is quite a bit of Terran Bio left this time as the Marauders and Marines keep moving forward. Injured Stalkers are pulling back. 1 Marauder versus 1 Stalker. It does win that fight. There's only 1 Marauder, well, 2 Marauders left for Oops. It's 2-2 right now. This is actually so darn close. It looks like the toss is able to take it and tie it up. Sharkles saying perfectly balanced chaos, and that is exactly how I'd describe it.